Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel Cakes by MK. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make super black buttercream, and I've also got some bonus clips at the end to show you how I created this beautiful black and gold cake. If you're new to my channel, please click the subscribe button below and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you're updated whenever I upload a new video. Apart from that, stay tuned and I hope you guys enjoy this video. So when it comes to making a coloured buttercream, people often find it difficult to achieve those really nice deep colours without using a whole bottle of gel food colouring. Now when it comes to black buttercream, it's even harder because it's really hard to get that nice deep black colour without it looking grey. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys two ways that you can make a nice black buttercream. I'm going to be demonstrating the first way and then I'll be sharing the second with you guys a little bit later on in the video. So the first way that I like to make black buttercream, which is my preferred method, is to use what we call black cocoa. So black cocoa is basically a cocoa which has been Dutched, which gives it that nice dark colour, which is going to help us achieve our nice black buttercream. So what I've got here is I've got some pre-made vanilla Swiss meringue buttercream. I will post a link to a video below if you're not quite sure how to make a vanilla Swiss meringue buttercream. And what I'm going to do first is I'm simply just going to add my black cocoa to my vanilla Swiss meringue buttercream, and I'm going to mix that in on a low speed until it's completely combined. And just make sure that you are mixing it on a low speed, otherwise you're just going to get black cocoa powder everywhere. Now I'm just going to turn up the speed a little bit. Now once that's mostly mixed in together, I'm just going to scrape down the sides of the bowl and then mix it on a slightly higher speed. Now as you can see, our buttercream is already a really nice dark colour, but it is still a little bit grey. Now if you want to keep it completely natural, then you can continue to add more black cocoa to your buttercream to make it slightly darker, but just keep in mind that black cocoa is quite bitter, so if you add too much to your buttercream, then you're going to have a slightly bitter buttercream. But what I like to do to amplify that black colour is to add a little bit of black gel food colouring to my buttercream. Now I'm just going to scrape the sides of the bowl and add a little bit more of the black food colouring. Okay, now what I'm left with is a really dark grey buttercream. It is almost black, so if you're happy with the colour, you can go ahead and use it like that. But if you want that deep dark black colour, then what you need to do is you need to let it sit now for at least a few hours. So ideally, you'd want to leave this overnight for the colour to really develop. But I think, at least 4 hours or so should be fine. I mean, you'll even notice after 1 hour, it'll start to deepen in colour, but the longer you leave it, the deeper the colour is going to get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sit now for at least 4 hours or so, and then we'll be back to see how the black colour is coming through. So my buttercream's been sitting out for over 6 hours now, and as you can see, it's turned into this beautiful deep black buttercream. Now before you finish up with your buttercream, I would highly recommend giving it a quick taste test, and the reason for that is because when you use black cocoa to darken buttercream, black cocoa does have a slight bitterness to it, so it will make your buttercream slightly bitter. But, if you're using an American style buttercream, this shouldn't be an issue because American buttercream has so much icing sugar in it, or powdered sugar. So it's, very sweet already, so the cocoa shouldn't have such an impact. But when it comes to making a Swiss meringue buttercream isn't as sweet as an American buttercream. Now this really depends on your taste buds. Some people don't mind the slight bitterness to it. I actually don't because I think it complements, a sweet cake really nicely. But if you do find that it is slightly too bitter, then what you can do is add an optional 1/2 cup to 1 cup of powdered sugar, and that will just kind of take away that slight bitterness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix in about 1/2 cup of icing sugar, and then I'm done. Okay, so my black buttercream is all done now and it's ready for cake decorating. Now I did mention earlier that there is a second way to achieving a deep dark black buttercream, and that is particularly for when you don't want to change the flavor of your buttercream. So by adding this black cocoa to our buttercream, it does give it a deep chocolatey flavor and a slight bitterness, as I mentioned earlier, but perhaps you don't want to change the flavor of your buttercream because you're, making a cake where you feel these chocolatey flavors aren't really going to go so well. Now, if that is the case, then what you want to do is you want to color your vanilla Swiss meringue buttercream or American buttercream dark brown first. And then what you want to do is you want to add some black gel food coloring to that. So the idea here is that you want to try and get your buttercream as dark as possible without adding any black food coloring to it first. And then once you've got it to like a deep brown color, then you go ahead and add your black gel food coloring, and this will amplify those deep dark flavors even more. So that is basically black buttercream done, and now I've got some bonus clips coming up showing you guys how I use this buttercream to decorate a black buttercream cake. So what I've got here is I've got a crumb-coated cake on a black cake board. Now, if you're not quite sure how to get to the stage of a crumb-coated cake, then I will post a link below to a more in-depth tutorial on this. Now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get the black buttercream that we made earlier, and I'm going to smooth that out around the entire cake. I'm going to start off by smoothing out the top, and then I'm going to go ahead and smooth out the sides. And just remember to give your buttercream a good mix before you start smoothing it onto your cake, because this is going to help remove any air bubbles. Now I'm just filling in any of the little holes with more buttercream, and then I'm just going to smooth it out again. And now I'm just going to smooth out the top. Now I'm not too fussed with getting the top completely smooth because I am going to be adding a black chocolate drip onto this cake, but you do want to make sure that it is nice and flat so that when you do add your drips to your cake, they fall really nicely. Now I'm just going to clean the bottom of my cake board. Okay, now this cake is going to go into the fridge for about an hour or so for the buttercream to become really nice and firm, and then we're going to come back and finish decorating. So my cake is out of the fridge now, the buttercream is really nice and firm, and now I'm going to continue decorating. Now before I add my chocolate drip to my cake, I thought I'd just quickly share with you guys a really cool technique that I like to use to get super smooth sides on my cakes. So at the moment my sides are pretty smooth, but there are some areas where, there's like a few lines kind of poking out and things like that. So what I like to do is with a really nice cold cake, I go again once more and just gently scrape the sides until it's all completely smooth. So the sides of my cake are super smooth now. I would normally go ahead and do this at the top as well, but because I'm adding a chocolate drip to my cake, I'm not too fussed about the top being super smooth. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add my chocolate drip to my cake. So my cake is still really nice and cold, so you really want to make sure that your cake is cold for your drip. And if you're not quite sure how to make a chocolate ganache, or you want some extra tips and tricks on how to get a perfect drip on your cake, then I will post a link below to a more in-depth tutorial on this. So what I've got here is I've got some white chocolate ganache which I have coloured with some black gel food colouring, and I'm going to start adding that drip to my cake. So I'm just going to start off with a test drip first, and then if it's dripping the way that I want to, I'm going to continue and drip the rest of the cake. Yep, so I'm happy with that drip, so I'm going to go ahead and drip the rest of my cake. So as I was adding the chocolate drip to my cake, it started to thicken up a little bit, and so I just thinned it out with a little bit of heavy cream. And now I'm just filling out the tops. So I've added the chocolate drip to my cake, and now I'm just going to pop the cake into the fridge to allow the ganache some time to set while we work on some of the other decorations that I'm going to be putting around the cake. So for the rest of the deco around my cake, I'm going to be hand painting some macarons. So what I've got here is I've got some edible black paint as well as some edible gold paint, and I'm going to paint some of my macarons completely black, some of them completely gold, and then I've also got a gold spray here which I'm going to be spraying my white macarons with. Now what you want to do is you want to paint one side first and then move on to the other macarons and then flip them over once they're a bit dry and then paint the back. So my macarons are all painted now, they look really pretty, and now I'm going to go ahead and pop them onto my cake. So my ganache has had some time to set and now we're going to finish off decorating this cake. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to insert my cake topper in the middle. So what I've got here is I've got this really cool 21 cake topper because this cake is for a 21st. So I'm just going to pop that cake topper right in the middle of the cake. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start placing the macarons around the cake. So I'm going to put a few of them on the top and then a few of them on the bottom. Now next I'm going to add some gold leaf around the cake. Now I'm just going to finish off with a little bit of edible gold glitter and then I am done. And there it is, my black buttercream cake is all done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on how to make super black buttercream, as well as the bonus clips at the end showing you how I created this beautiful black and gold cake. Please like and subscribe for more videos like this, and thanks again for watching Cakes by MK.